Paragon of Dragons Saga-1 Part 1. Her arrival. A large dragon sleeps in his lair at the highest point of the Crag of Dragons, located in the area known as Rockridge Plateau. This is the most northern point of Odessa province, on the Aryan continent. One of his eyes suddenly opens, and as he raises his head, he sniffs the air and takes notice of the winds changing. He emits a low, menacing growl deep within his throat. I've not sensed a presence such as this in over a millennium. It seems that a new era with a mortal who can wield dragon magic has awakened. I must discover who this is for myself, he says. The dragon lifts his massive, dark, gray, scaled body and walks to the entrance of his lair. Once outside, he opens his mighty wings, and with a thunderous flapping, he takes flight heading south. A lone female centurion opens her eyes and stares up at the treetops and blue sky. As she sits up, she winces in pain and places a hand on her aching forehead. Ow, my aching head. Where the hell am I? She says as she looks at the surrounding forest. When she looks down, a blush fills her cheeks as she notices her new body. Her eyebrow raises as she notices she's no longer human or male. What in the hell is going on here? Why do I have a woman's body? She yells. Then quickly covers her mouth, frantically looks around to see if anyone or anything hurt her. She slowly takes deep breaths and releases a soft sigh of relief when she notices no one or animal has come running into her area. Taking another deep breath, she inspects her new form and body, checking for injuries. What have I become? She ponders as she drinks in her new form for a few minutes, while sitting and going over what could have changed her into a female, and more importantly, entirely different creature altogether. She notices her mahogany fur and a horse-like tail. When she narrows her eyes, she sees an elongated face like a horse. After inspecting her body, she takes in a deep breath to calm herself. She concludes for whatever purpose she is now female, and we'll have to find out later how this came to be and to try and revert to her old self. She begins examining her immediate surroundings. Where am I? Last thing I remember is I was showering at home, she thinks in her male voice. She notices a trail leading away from her just to her left. Well, I guess I can't stay here forever. I might as well see where the trail takes me. Maybe I'll find some answers at the end of it, she thinks in her male voice. She rises to her feet, with a deep breath begins following the trail before her. As she follows the path through the forest, she ponders the events between getting in the shower at her home and waking up in the forest. So many events come back in a flash. She remembers climbing into the shower, and mere moments of doing so, tornado sirens went off. And just before grabbing a towel to head to the basement, she remembers feeling weightless before blacking out. She stops and places a hand on a tree to look around to gather her bearings. Remembering her military training, she notices that the trail seems to end just ahead of her, so she decides to step off the trail when she reaches the end, to absorb what lies on the other side, in the hope of avoiding detection by someone or something. She peers through the brush carefully so as not to rustle the leaves too much. Her eyes widen when she sees a small village below, filled with the same creature she has become. Drinking the sight in, she notices that the village seems dark age, medieval in nature, especially when she spots the blacksmith hammering away at a weapon. She also observes some villagers tend to crops in the field and laundry. So it's not just where I am, it's when I am? She ponders as she notices the fresh laundry and thinks of a way to snag up some clothing. As she goes over her plan, a male centurion spots her and quietly hides behind a tree just behind her. Meanwhile, at the human city of Solus, north of the village known as Eagle Pass Village, a guard in the north tower yawns out of bed. You seem as bored as I am, John, an older guard says as he climbs up the final steps of the stairway. Honestly, I don't understand why we still keep looking out for dragons or invading forces, Ben. None have been spotted in nearly 30 years, nor has there been any war in the last 15. John replies to Ben and turns to look at him. John, you need to remember that we need to stay vigilant because of what happened to the city of Dionysus on the earthen continent, Ben says as he gently strokes his leg, remembering how he injured it during one of the last battles near the city of Dionysus, in an attempt to reclaim it from the demon hordes. I suppose you're right, Ben. But Ben? John yells, beginning to shake and point out the window while backing up against a table, knocking a drink onto the stone floor. When Ben turns to look in the direction John is pointing, his eyes grow wide as he sees a dark shadow getting larger and quickly approaching. Ben blinks his eyes twice as he sees the enormous dark silhouette of a dragon speeding towards the city. John, what are you waiting for, boy? Sound the alarm! Ben loudly commands him with a large lump in his throat. Yes, sir, John stammers as he practically stumbles over his own 2 feet, running to the bell's rope. Once he reaches the rope, John pulls it with all his might, as the shock of witnessing a dragon for the first time in his life begins to sink in. As John pulls on the rope, a loud groaning creak of the wood is heard until the bell clapper hits the lip, and the large bell booms throughout the city for the first time in 15 years. The ring from the bell booms louder as John tugs on the rope. Ben heads down the stairs he just came up moments ago, and he heads towards a large wooden door. A dragon approaches from the north, Captain! Ben yells as he barges into the captain's quarters. The captain looks up from his papers laid out before him and his 4 officers on a large war table. The captain comes around from behind the table, approaches Ben and pats him on the shoulder lightly. You did well, soldier. Now go fetch your steel and head to the court area. All of you, the captain says calmly, even though his face seems pale as a ghost from the sudden news. Captain Marwyn, do we even stand a chance? Ben asks quietly. It depends on who this type of dragon is and what he controls. Only our Lord knows what is in store for us. Captain Marwyn replies as he makes his own way down to the court. As the bell booms above the city, the citizens of Solus begin fleeing their homes, and the shopkeepers, as well as the city workers, are instructed by lightly armored guards to head to the shelters to seek refuge. Windows and doors are quickly shut tightly from citizens who refuse to leave their homes but take cover deep within them. As the citizens take to cover the available soldiers, many of them young rookies who have little combat experience and none have seen a live dragon, make their way to the North Garrison's court, prepare themselves for the upcoming battle. The soldiers, consisting of men, women, city militia, and soldier reserve, begin to murmur with each other about what is happening. Some think it's a mere drill. Some think the Dark Demon Lord Archibald finally decided to invade the Dessa province and break the peace treaty of Dionysus after all these years. A hush comes over them as Captain Marwyn climbs the stairs of the stage, followed by the 4 officers from earlier in the war room, along with Ben and John, all in most of their armor. Whispers move throughout the crowd as they notice that Captain Marwyn is equipped with Dragoon, his mighty 2-handed claymore that he used against a dragon in the last war. I shall be brief as possible, for we may not have much time. A dragon approaches the city as we speak, Captain Marwyn announces when he reaches the center of the stage. Nervous chatter breaks out through all the soldiers. Many of the green infantrymen begin trembling in fear of the news. Some of the more veteran troops take in a deep breath and say prayers. A dragon? How could we possibly defeat a dragon? A rookie scout cries out. Quiet down, all of you, a gruff-sounding voice says from the steps of the stage. All soldiers turn quickly to see a tall, armored head-to-toe man. His armor resembles dragon scales, and one of the shoulder plates is in the shape of a dragon's head. He carries a large heater shield with the city's emblem and a gold dragon engraved in it. As the grizzled veteran steps into the middle of the stage, the dark looming shadow of the dragon flows over the entire court. The dragon's flight is over in mere moments, but for some of the soldiers, the event feels like an eternity. Once the last trace of the dragon's shadow disappears from over the city, many soldiers breathe a sigh of relief. Captain Marwin, along with the other officers, look at each other with confusion and relief, and the soldiers begin to murmur once more. That's enough chatter, the heavily armored man commanded. All the soldiers quieted down quickly. Captain Marwin approaches the man in the middle of the stage. Hi, Commander Magnus. What has brought you back to the city of Solus so soon? Marwin asks with a concerned manner. My regiment and I saw the time dragon Kronos fly over the Scarlet Forest, so I had our mage Acromia teleport us back to the city's mage tower, Commander Magnus explains. He then turns to the soldiers to address them. I would like to chase Kronos to his destination. I need at least 300 of you, while the rest of you head to the other city towers to inform them to prepare for the worst. And please tell the cathedral to prepare the infirmary, Commander Magnus announces. Why the urgency, High Commander, Marwin asks. I have reason to believe that the small village in Eagle Pass with our Centurion allies is in danger, Commander Magnus replies. All of you move out, as Commander Magnus has ordered. Ben, John, you're with me and heading out with the High Commander, Marwin commands as he quickly turns to his officers. All the soldiers yell out yes, sir, with a mighty salute and scramble to their waiting horses that the stable hands have quickly prepared. We will need several men to also head to Venture Port in the far south, one of the officers yells out. Good idea, Major. Now ride like the wind, Marwin commanded as he mounted his mighty steed and led his men alongside High Commander Magnus heading for the city's south gate in pursuit of Kronos, the dragon. To be continued.